Oi, what's the best game where you get to eat pie? What's the best game where you play a dead guy? Aye? You'll find out in VG247's podcast. Here, what's the best game where you swing from a rope? And what's the best game where you batter the Pope? Assassin's Creed 2. Like I said, you will find out in this here podcast. Hello and welcome to VG247's Best Games Ever podcast, where we attempt to find the best game within a very specific category. For example, this week we're looking for the best game that is uncomfortably pro-monarchy. Video games do seem to have an uncritical obsession with monarchies. There are countless games where you play or aid a member of the royal family during their accession to the crown. Mario has spent his entire career running around after a princess, and in one of the Assassin's Creed games, you're just mates with Queen Victoria, and you run errands for her as if she's not the head of one of the most brutal and destructive empires in history. Who would have thought that an artistic medium built around individual power fantasies would be so disgustingly royalist? I am joined today by Tom, Kelsey, and Connor. How are you all doing?
Hello.
Is this going out when the coronation happens, or
I don't know.
I can't remember.
The topic. I don't know.
Look, I'll put it out. I'll put it out for the coronation. So let's just assume the coronation is either imminently about to happen.
I thought it was a joke topic at first because you messaged me, or even I think I was possibly sat next to you at the time in real life. Yeah. And you said, this is it. And I was like, what?
Yeah, because
it's real. It's actually a real podcast.
I was actually in the Gamer Network office for once, and I was writing podcast topics, and I was like, this one will be good, Tom, and you sort of ignored me.
It's because Jim came into the office, didn't bring anything to work on, and then proceeded to spend about 2 hours plugging his phone into a monitor.
Right. Yeah. Well, I got some work done, didn't I? Look, this isn't about me. This is
about the monarchy, yeah? Have we all got our coronation quiches ready before we move on to the podcast? Are we all excited to celebrate?
I love coronation quiche. Coronation. Didn't you say, Connor, that coronation chicken was like the best meal deal, and coronation quiche sounds like the worst?
Okay, the podcast, whatever. I would always go to the shop and get a meal deal. The coronation chicken sandwich is the best sandwich choice at the shops. And one day, the local co-op just stopped having it. And I was like, I wonder why. And I'm like 70% sure it's because the Queen died.
Yeah, and that's like her sandwich, right?
Right. Bring her back. The meal deal is so
all is
bad now.
They haven't stopped selling coronation chicken.
They have. They have.
Not.
At the co-op, I have never seen a coronation chicken sandwich again.
She's back.
I did actively go and look for one after you mentioned it.
Could you find it?
And I could not find one.
They're gone.
They're gone.
I also looked at a co-op though.
So now you're going to go into like the co-op and you're going to have some like batch made gross quiche just in the fridges, and
I don't even like quiche. That is disappointing.
It's like whack. So like, and it's like a vegetarian quiche as well, which I mean, no shade to those who partake in vegetarianism, but it's not a coronation chicken sandwich. Like, what's going on?
I never really liked coronation chicken, if I'm being honest, but like I know a lot of people who love coronation chicken.
Yeah.
Who aren't particularly royalist. It's just like a really good sandwich filling.
It's just a bit odd though, isn't it? It's like, here's a curry with some sultanas.
In like cheap sandwiches, it's like raisins. So you bite into this like creamy chicken sandwich and occasionally you get like a burst of raisin. It's so good. And it's gone now. So this country is even worse than before.
It's gone forever. We used to be a real country, but
we did.
Now we've just got to eat quiche all the time. Otherwise the secret police will drag us out.
I wonder if Americans listening to this, the few that do, have any clue what we're talking about. Do they know?
Yeah,
that there's a king. There's a king. Do they know about coronation chicken?
Americans are more obsessed with the royals than we are.
Isn't quiche French?
Yeah.
No idea.
What's going on? What's happened to this country?
One of the few benefits of having living in a constitutional monarchy was that she came with a really good sandwich filling.
It's basically the only perk, right? To be honest.
So yeah, all right. Well, we need to find the best game that's uncomfortably pro-monarchy. Anything pro-monarchy is uncomfortably pro-monarchy by definition. There's been loads of Final Fantasy games that are explicitly pro-monarchy, uncritically pro-monarchy. So if Alex was here, he'd probably go through about 12 of them before he settled on a final choice. So let's be thankful that he isn't. And let's start with Kelsey. What have you got for us?
All right, I'm going to start by saying no, I've not played this game. This is one that I did, in fact, Google about half an hour beforehand, but I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
So I chose a game called Long Live the Queen. which has 90 out of 100 on Metacritic before you come for that as well. And it's like some strange visual novel where you're the 14-year-old princess and your father, the king, has passed away, and you have 40 weeks until you become queen. And in that time, you obviously need to do all these things to prepare to become queen and, you know, successfully do that or fail and die, basically. And it's all stat-based. So it plays out like a visual novel. You make decisions, like dialogue decisions, event decisions, and you go to like classes and stuff to improve your stats. And basically how these dialogue scenarios and whatever go depends on your stats. You know, you'll basically pass or fail a check and ultimately determines whether you become queen or not. I thought it looked interesting enough to qualify, and it is completely all around political intrigue and all that stuff. So it's beyond uncomfortably pro-monarchy.
So is it like in a royal court and you have to make alliances and stuff like that? Yeah,
so you'll make alliances, obviously like romance interests and things like that. You can go ahead and have affairs with people apparently. And you're 14 years old, which is a bit questionable. And you can get married and have kids and what have you. Now. Again, weird that you're 14 and like even within 40 weeks, like she might turn 15, but she can get married off and have a child, which is a little bit concerning. Yeah. But the rest of the game itself actually looks good.
It's a good game, but isn't it?
It's a good game, but it's a little bit noncy.
Yeah. I mean,
but I don't think that's the whole focus.
I mean, you know, the topic is uncomfortably. I mean, this is incredibly uncomfortable.
So I just Googled it.
Yeah.
And looked at the Metacritic, right?
Yeah.
And the Metacritic score I'm seeing is very yellow and 67.
Oh, you know what? That's fine.
That's not a particularly high score, considering the issues it has.
Who gave it a 90 then?
That's what I'm looking for now.
Is it God is a Geek?
Eurogamer gave it 7.
That's a callback.
It'll be PC reviewers that are more likely to give it a 90.
The Steam reviews for it were glowing.
Game Grin gave it a 90. Game Grin, whoever they are.
There's a review by the user BTM Gov.
Yeah.
3 out of 10.
Yeah.
Oh, and they would know.
Also, it's going to be a bit controversial. Is this an actual game? Like, what is it really a game? What do you do?
It's on Steam for $6.99. It's definitely a game.
Visual novels,
like
stat-based visual novel, RPG.
Novels. Yeah.
You very much choose what type of queen you're going to be, and you might die in the process, but it is what it is.
I imagine it's reasonably open-ended in terms of what happens because of your choices.
I was looking at a lot of reviews and a lot of like YouTube comments and stuff, and it seems like that it's actually like I don't know this because I've not played it, but it seems like it actually gets very dark at points, which is a bit that interests me. I just wish the protagonist wasn't 14 years old.
A lot of visual novels like that. I can't remember what it was called, but my eldest sent this game to me. It was a visual novel, and it was set in Japan. She was like, "You should play this. It's really good." And I played it, and I was like, "Oh, this is a visual novel about going to school." I'm not sure what she's getting at. And then about halfway into it, it turns into this weird like time loop thing, and there's like suicide. And you know the one I'm talking about.
I don't know the one you're talking about, but it does sound like the plot to most visual novels. There's a time warp.
Yeah,
wow.
It's like, and then you start the day again, but like with the foreknowledge of what happened before. But one of the people is mysteriously missing because and it turned into this really sort of actually quite like horrifying experience about like a class full of school children just slowly disappearing.
I'm a big visual novel fan, and it's for that reason. I very much like the ones that only tell you so much and then suddenly it takes a really dark turn that you were never expecting. DOKI Literature Club, probably one of the best.
That I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
There you go. It's one of the best visual novels out there.
People get super into them as well. Like I used to live in a house where 3 of my housemates were spending months like in the evening sitting down and playing a visual novel called HANAKO, which is like a mystery murder like visual novel. It's quite interesting. You have to figure out how people got murdered in a room, and it's like a big puzzle and all that.
I think it takes a while for a lot of them to kind of unravel and for like anyone to get into them at the best of times. But once a story actually kicks off, most of the top visual novels out there, like really good, and most people can enjoy them. It's just having the patience for them.
Yeah, have the patience to stick with it until it gets to the mad twist that you're waiting for. I tell you what, like one of my favorite visual novels, probably my favorite, is Subsurface Circular, which is the Mike Bithell one, where it's all set on a train and you're playing like a robot detective, and the story ends up as like it actually turns out that you're like a terrorist and you're starting a robot uprising. It's pretty good. Wow. It's been out for years, Tom. Come on.
I was about to play that tonight.
I was downloading it right now.
It's just like when you spoil an episode of Deep Space Nine and someone on Twitter goes, "Oh, I was watching that for the first time." Like, it aired 25 years ago. Right. Okay. So, Connor, what have you got for us?
Hi. So I've in the past brought some tricks to my suggestions in the past, some little spins, some ways to convince you. And you may notice my lighting's a bit dark and gloomy. My room is a mess. I have empty Coke cans all over the place.
Right.
And I should have shaved a while ago. This is all to lead up to my game suggestion, which is World of Warcraft. A game I have
your background been performance art this whole time.
It has. See,
leading up to this.
Viewers, last week I took a rash of shit because I was in the dark and looked really horrible, and it was all for this. I didn't say anything then, obviously, but now it's paying off. Yeah, World of Warcraft. I've dumped thousands of hours into World of Warcraft, and at times, narratively, it's really, really good. It does really, really dig its monarchy, though. There's two big factions, Alliance and Horde. The Alliance is led by a king. So it used to be King Varian Rin, who was a dickhead. He was like a warrior gladiator, and he caused a bunch of wars. And at the end of expansions, he's like, I'm going to start a war, and everyone loves him. And you go and do quests for him occasionally, and he treats you like a loser. And he's a massive knob. His son takes over the whole alliance when he dies. Yeah. There's no like vote or anything. They're just like, Anduin, top lad. And he's awful. For like an entire expansion, he's useless. And he's been useless for like years and years and years before that, but he just gets the role because monarchy is right. And the game's like, this is great. No, we love Anduin. And he's awful. He's just really, really bad. Worse still, recently I talked to a friend about recent developments in WoW because I have no time to play it these days, sadly. And the monarchy has done it again. An evil antagonist character called Sylvanas dies, basically. Yeah. That's a real spoiler that happened like 2 years ago. And so her city of undead people need new leadership. And a brand new character who's like an undead resurrected member of the royal family of that area, the Menophiles, just perches up. And she's like, hi, yeah, I would really like to be a part of this. Despite not being in the game for a decade plus, and no one knows who I am, but I've got the name, so yeah, WoW loves kings and queens and monarchies. It's very much like based on that classic fantasy thing, and over time, obviously, it's changed because they've got like 1 million expansions in it, but they've always kind of been like, the Alliance is the good guys, and they're all very noble. The Stormwind is the capital of the Alliance, and it's got a big castle where the king lives, and he's got spies, and he's like horrid. And it's a great game, depending on when you play it. Right now, it's really good. It's like the best it's been in years. 2 years ago, it was really bad. And then 4 years ago, it was really bad. And 6 years ago, it was really bad. And then before that, it was great.
I have heard it's been like picking up recently.
Yeah, it's picking up. I
might have heard that from you, though.
Yeah, it's picking up. But also, just to put a little dampener on that, an Activision Blizzard staff member tweeted that they are losing so many staff that they're having to like cancel projects on the game. So maybe not great for long, but it's good now. So
get in while the getting's good, I guess.
Right. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. So WoW's great, and it does love its monarchy, which is not great.
I feel like the mood dropped. We kind of talked about World of Warcraft. Like everyone just got like, it felt tiring just listening to it.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Is it like was it more or less tiring than the time James and Sharif started going on about Call of Duty for?
That was also tiring.
That was great. Arguing about like Fable and stuff. That was fantastic.
Yeah, there was an extended 15-minute argument about a single level. All right, Tom, I almost hesitate to ask, but what is your pick for this week?
Right, no lie, I've gone different this week because I can't.
What?
The gimmick can't keep up forever, right? So I've gone quite highbrow,
right,
this week. So strap in for some actual like adult conversation.
Strap in.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
So has anyone read The Buried Giant by Kazuo Ishiguro?
No,
right.
I think I have it in this room somewhere.
I have read it, yeah. So it's kind of like an adult fairy tale, right, on the surface. It's got like a knight, it's got a dragon, lots of other stuff, but that's kind of the fairy tale angle. But that's like the surface plot, right? There is a story within the story here that is like the main point of it, right? Mm-hmm. So it's the fairy tale on top, and then you look into it, it's actually about like memory and remembering stuff or being ignorant to things, and whether or not you should actually just be in like complete ignorance to things in the world and be happy, or seek out answer to things but potentially be sad as a result, but you know everything that's going on and you're more aware of things in the world, etc., right? And that is like the main thrust of the actual story, even though it's on the surface about this dragon, a lot of it. So that made me think, right, what, rather than going, this is a game where there's a king, or this is a game where there is a monarchy, what games have this kind of underlying sort of statement about that kind of thing? Originally, I was going to go like, oh, do you remember the Burger King game? So I was going to spin it and go really opposite what I just said and go, there's a king and he rides a skateboard or whatever, and just go be like, that was the joke, essentially, that I made this big story about this allegory in Buried Giant. And then I picked the Burger King games, but I didn't do that. I thought about what is like a monarch, essentially. So it's like someone with absolute power over a group of people, right? And someone that like dictates what happens to others and the fortunes of those beneath them. And I thought, that sounds a lot like a Football Manager.
Oh no, you can't keep doing this. I was like so invested there.
I clocked it the moment you were like, what is a monarch? I was like, he's done it again.
I'm quitting.
All right, Tom, carry on.
That's it. Nothing more to say, really. It is what it is.
It's so Football Manager is pro-monarchy.
It's an allegory of monarchy.
I mean, football in general is right. Like, teams are owned by monarchies.
I mean, it's a type of monarchy in the sense that it's a single individual on whom all the power and the decisions rest, but also the consequences, and also the power a single club can have over the happiness of its followers when you have no control over it. Who is the king of Wrexham Football Club, would you say? Well, that's just to pluck an example out of the air. It's the two superstar actors, isn't it? But they're not the managers, are they? Yeah, but they are. They're the kings in that instance. That's a different scenario, really.
But there are like real kings, like princes who own football clubs, right? I'm not making that up. Like, isn't Newcastle owned by like a Saudi prince or something?
Yeah.
That kind of just supports the argument even more.
I can totally agree and see how Football Manager would be pro-monarchy. How is it uncomfortably pro-monarchy? What is uncomfortable about this game that you love? You know you are deciding the future of the people beneath you. I once bought a player and they needed a work permit to come over to the UK, England to play. They were massively promising young players. One of the key things to Football Manager is buying young players that have high potential. I bought them and I couldn't get a work permit. And I signed them on a deal for like 3 years and they were just sat around. I kept sending them off on loan because I couldn't get, I'll just try again next year. And that I ruined that person's career. They never played for me. I just kept firing them out to another club.
So I had absolute power over that person's life.
That is uncomfortable.
And I felt bad about it, but I didn't want to just face up to the fact that I'd wasted a load of money on someone that I could never play in my team.
It's quite sad because that kid would have had like dreams and aspirations, right, to like play for your club, and you just totally ruined it.
All right, Tom. I think it was. I remember watching a documentary by the who has since been a very disgraced historian, David Starkey, like 4-part documentary about monarchies and about their place in the modern world, etc. And he started off arguing that the presidency is a monarchy. It's an elected monarchy, but the president has the same responsibilities and everything else as a monarch. And he was using this as the basis for an argument that human society is like naturally gravitates towards monarchism as a model of organizing society, institutions, organizations, companies, everything. And unfortunately, he seems to have a point, but like I said, he is a massive bellend, so we're not going to give him too much credit.
That reminds me of a story, actually. Can I tell a quick story?
Yeah, if you want. I mean, Tom always does, so go for it.
Me and my friends playing classic World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Aimless. We wanted to do Naxxramas, and we couldn't. So my friends were like, we need to start a guild. And they elected me as guild leader of... I can't remember the name of it, and if I did, it was probably kind of rude.
Was it the Bike Beef Bandits?
No, but they elected me guild master. You could say the king of the guild. And we have the guild bank, and I eventually, over about a week before Naxxramas came out, I organised a 25-man guild, and we all did raiding, and we all deposited loot and materials and enchanting stuff into the guild bank. And then after about a month of frustrating runs and getting annoyed with randoms on the internet, I took everything out of the guild bank, including all the money, and I disbanded the guild.
Bravo!
Because we would go outside Naxxramas and people would be 20 minutes late to the raid. They wouldn't have enchanted their gear. They didn't have gems. They didn't have like profession enchants. They were rolling on gear they didn't need. We had a whole website where you're like, you need to list out the top 5 bits of gear you need so we can prioritize who gets what. And people were just putting in whatever and then needing whatever and just going against it all. So I was like, fuck it. I just took out 2,500 gold, which is quite a lot in Classic WoW, and all the materials, and I split that between me and my IRL friends. And we stopped playing Classic WoW like a week later. So
why didn't you?
I've never been more proud of you.
So I
should have been an earlier story, right?
I wanted to say this because I initially tried to talk about WoW's narrative. It was so boring that I was like, I've lost this podcast just because I've done a really bad job. So I needed to give an IRL anecdote about Classic WoW. The truth is that World of Warcraft players are the kings of being absolutely insane. They do the most bizarre, hot, like mindless grinds. They do the wildest things. They join the wildest groups, and that's why I think it's the best game in the world.
And apparently engage in a little bit of like embezzlement every now and then.
I robbed them all blind. They couldn't do anything about it either. That's the best thing, because they gave me all the power, and they had all my friends as the.
Why did they elect you as their leader?
Well, because I found the guild, and building up a guild and a raid team is so much work. It's so much hassle. You've got to sit in the capital city and like post publicly, like, look, we're looking for a mage and a warlock and a tank.
Oh, so you put in all that work, so you might as well like.
Yeah, so I was the guild leader, and all of my friends were the higher rank sort of like members of the guild. So we had the guild bank access, and we just stole it all.
All right, well, that's a lovely story.
Went on a bit again, didn't it? You kind of went really, that's an interesting story. Then you went beyond it to boring again.
Yeah.
That's my view on that. And then you threw in like the players of the Kings just to try and get extra points. It's like quite embarrassing.
It was. While I was saying it, I was like, ugh.
It's all right, Connor. We'll gloss over it.
No.
In the edit. All right. I'm gonna play that jingle now that says we have to pick something. Right, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because nobody picked Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which is what my pick would have been. That is very uncomfortably pro-monarchy. Tom, very wonderful reasoning about why Football Manager counts as a monarchy. But ultimately, if you're going to make every single organization with where one person has a lot of power, you're basically saying every possible human organization is some kind of monarchy.
Why can't we say that? That sounds fair enough.
I mean, it's how extreme.
It's a
is that,
hierarchy. It's not a monarchy.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, is a CEO a monarchy? A monarch?
Are you the monarch of VG 24/7, Tom?
Don't know.
Yeah,
I'm fed up now.
No, I was just wondering. It's an interesting question, but I think it was once again, Tom, the way you crowbarred Football Manager into this topic was masterful, and I really enjoyed it.
And you gave me a new book to read.
Yeah. Visual novels are Long Live the Queen. It's I'm not sure it's reviewed as well as you initially claimed, as it turns out. But
someone out there thought it was 9 out of 10.
I mean, I quite like the court intrigue and stuff like that. So, like, it's
Connor's already smirking. He knows he's got this.
I'm smirking
his
because Kelsey, the person who's always like, but how well is it reviewed though, has been bitten by their own tactic.
Look, it could have been reviewed, 20 out of 100 on Metacritic.
Yeah, but you didn't even check. Like,
I'm just.
I did. I just read the wrong words.
oh, okay.
I've just seen where the 90 out of 100 came from. Technology Tell gave a score of 90 out of 100 to the game, writing, "It's a really an unusual adventure, and I admire Hanako Games and Spiky Caterpillar for stepping a little outside of their comfort zone to release a darker game." A darker game where 14-year-olds can get married.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that what they're referring to, the creepy nonce marriage?
I think the dark bit is like, the death aspect, but I
they're not being praised for their bravery on that front. All right, okay, yeah. So Connor, I think you have won with World of Warcraft is the best game that is uncomfortably pro-monarchy. I really enjoyed like dragging that out to Connor getting a win, because it makes such a fuss when he doesn't win.
Yeah,
so I thought I'd give you a nice like 5-minute lead up to it.
I think this is good for the podcast because like it really does show that the game does matter, because I absolutely did the worst pitch. This most boring pitch out of all three.
Do you know what though?
Because the pick was so good, my fair honourable judge.
Almost entirely based around the story of you doing embezzlement.
I knew it.
You just said that 20 minutes ago.
Because I was like, no, I can actually do this game. I'm smart. I can actually do this, and I couldn't do this. So I need to, just keep it wacky and silly and story-based.
Just tell a story about how you ripped a lot of people off. All right. Well, thanks very much for listening, watching, etc. It would be really nice of you if you left a comment, left a like, subscribed, gave us a 5-star review on the podcast platform of your choice, because it annoys Eurogamer. Actually, we were in the pub. I was in the pub with Eurogamer the other night, and they're not upset about the podcast at all. I don't really think they think about it, to be honest, Tom.
I knew that. This is your whole thing, that it's like anti-Eurogamer. I've never even mentioned it once as a thing.
You mentioned it all the time.
No.
It's the first
people listen to this don't even know who we are, what website we're from, let alone other websites.
I bet you they don't know what website we're from, but every time we say Eurogamer, they're like, oh yeah, I know that one. All right, but yeah. Sadly, it doesn't annoy Eurogamer, but it would be great anyway if you gave us a 5-star review, because it really helps us out. And if you happen upon the website or the YouTube comments, please drop us a line about topics you would like us to take on, because once again, the spreadsheet's getting really thin. All right, thank you very much. And Connor, go and bask in your win for a bit, because it's probably the only one you'll have for at least 10 weeks, I imagine. But, but enjoy it while it lasts. All right, thanks very much, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.